The days without him felt like an endless storm, each moment heavier than the last. I cried myself to sleep countless nights, clutching the pillow that still faintly smelled of him, hoping it would somehow bring him closer. My heart ached with every passing second, and the pain was almost unbearable. The war had taken him away from me, leaving behind only memories and promises whispered under the moonlight. But now he was back, or so I thought. When I first saw him at the door, my heart leapt with joy, only to be crushed moments later by what I saw. His body was broken, battered, and bruised. His once strong frame now fragile and scarred. It wasn't just the physical wounds that horrified me. There was something distant in his eyes, something cold and unfamiliar. He looked at me as if I were a stranger, not the woman who had waited for him through years of agony, and then came the betrayal. I couldn't ignore the signs. The late-night texts on his phone, the hushed calls when he thought I wasn't listening, and the way he flinched whenever I touched him. My suspicions grew into certainty one fateful evening when I stumbled upon a photo buried deep in his bag. It was him, standing close to another woman, their smiles too intimate to deny. Rage consumed me, hotter than the tears streaming down my face. How could he do this? After everything we'd been through, after all the nights I prayed for his safe return? How could he throw our love away? "What is this?" I screamed, shoving the picture into his face. "Who is she? Was this why you came back, to break me completely?" His silence was deafening, but worse than that was the guilt etched across his features. That night, the man I loved became a stranger, and the trust between us shattered like glass. The night was supposed to be perfect. He had planned everything down to the smallest detail, sparing no expense to make it unforgettable. The room was transformed into a dreamlike scene. Roses in every shade of red cascaded across the floor, their petals soft underfoot, and twinkling fairy lights hung from the ceiling like stars. A live string quartet played softly in the corner, their melodies weaving through the air like whispers of love. I stood there, breathless, as he took my hand, his eyes shimmering with emotion. For a moment, I forgot all the pain and suspicion that had clouded our reunion. This was it, the moment I dreamed of for years. But just as he dropped to one knee, pulling out a velvet box, the world seemed to shatter around us. The door burst open with a crash, and a shadowy figure stumbled in, clutching something glinting in his hand. My heart stopped. It was another man, a stranger, with an engagement ring identical to the one my boyfriend now held. His face was pale, panicked, and soaked with sweat, but his grip on the ring was firm, almost defiant. "What the hell is this?" I gasped, stepping back, my voice trembling. My boyfriend froze, his expression shifting from shock to confusion to something darker. Guilt? Betrayal? I couldn't tell. The stranger stammered, trying to explain, but his words were jumbled and frantic. "I didn't mean to. I swear it wasn't supposed to happen like this," he cried, waving the ring wildly. Chaos erupted. The music screeched to a halt, the musicians exchanging horrified glances. Petals scattered as people moved frantically, unsure whether to intervene or flee. My mind raced, piecing together fragments of suspicion that had been gnawing at me since his return. Was this why he'd been distant? Why he flinched at my touch? Had he been planning this all along? "Who are you?" I demanded, turning to the intruder, then back to my boyfriend, who still knelt on the ground, frozen. "And who is he?" My voice rose, sharp and piercing, cutting through the chaos like a knife. Neither answered immediately, their silence speaking volumes. Finally, the stranger blurted out, "He stole it! That ring, he took it from her!" Took it from who? I screamed, my vision blurring with tears. My boyfriend finally found his voice, though it cracked under the weight of the moment. "Nancy, please let me explain," he pleaded, reaching for me. But I recoiled, shaking my head violently. "Explain what? That you're a thief? A liar? Or that you've been playing me this whole time?" The room was still heavy with the remnants of shattered dreams when I found myself staring at my phone, scrolling through messages that made my blood boil. They weren't just vague hints or cryptic phrases. They were explicit declarations of love between him and someone else. "I can't wait to see you again," one message read. Another, "You're the only one who truly understands me." My hands trembled as I scrolled further, each word slicing deeper into my heart. And then there were the photos, dozens of them, capturing stolen moments filled with laughter and intimacy. In every image, he looked happier than I had ever seen him. The man kneeling before me earlier wasn't the same man in those pictures. "Explain this!" I screamed, throwing the phone at him like it was a weapon. He flinched but didn't dodge, letting it hit his chest before clattering to the floor. His face turned pale, his lips quivering as though searching for words that wouldn't come. But I didn't give him time to speak. How long have you been lying to me?" My voice cracked under the weight of betrayal, tears streaming down my cheeks uncontrollably. That's when the storm inside him erupted. With a guttural roar, he lunged toward the nearest table, sweeping everything off it. A vase shattered against the wall. Papers fluttered like wounded birds, and the sound of breaking glass echoed through the room. "You think I wanted this?" he bellowed, his voice raw with anguish. "Do you think I planned any of this? You have no idea what I've been through." His outburst only fueled my rage. "Don't you dare try to justify yourself," I shouted back, grabbing the first thing within reach, a lamp, and hurling it toward him. It missed, crashing into the mirror behind him, shards scattering across the floor. For a moment, we both froze, staring at our fractured reflections amidst the chaos. But the tension snapped again when he charged at me, grabbing my wrists with a force that startled even himself. "Stop it! Just stop!" he yelled, shaking me slightly. His grip was tight, desperate, yet not entirely cruel. Still, I fought back, kicking and clawing at him until he released me, stumbling backward. We stood there panting, two wounded animals trapped in a cage of lies and broken promises. "You don't get to touch me anymore," I spat, cradling my sore wrists. "Not after what you've done, not after everything." My legs gave out and I collapsed onto the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. He sank down beside me, burying his face in his hands. "I never meant to hurt you," he whispered, his voice trembling. "But maybe you're right. Maybe I'm not good enough for you." The sound of sirens pierced through the night, their wailing growing louder as red and blue lights flashed against the windows. Neighbors gathered outside, whispering behind cupped hands while officers entered the chaos that had once been my home. I sat on the floor amidst the wreckage, shattered glass, overturned furniture, and torn photographs scattered around me like pieces of a puzzle I no longer wanted to solve. My mind was blank, yet overwhelmed, drowning in questions without answers. Who was the intruder? Why did he have an identical ring? And why did it feel like every revelation only deepened the mystery? Detective Harris knelt beside me, his voice calm but probing. "Ms. Carter, Can you tell us what happened here? His pen hovered over his notepad, ready to capture every detail. But how could I explain something I didn't understand myself? The photos, the messages, the stranger with the ring, it all felt like fragments of a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. As I recounted the events, haltingly and brokenly, another officer called out from the other room. "Sir, you'll want to see this. They found more. So much more." A second phone hidden in his jacket pocket, filled with encrypted conversations about someone named Evelyn. Bank statements showing large transfers to unknown accounts. Even a plane ticket booked for next week under a fake name. Each discovery sent a fresh wave of nausea crashing over me. Was he planning to leave? To disappear completely? Or worse, had I been living with a complete stranger? By the time the police left, taking him with them for further questioning, I was hollow. Everything I thought I knew had crumbled into dust. Alone in the silence, I crawled into bed, pulling the covers tightly around me as if they could shield me from reality. But sleep wouldn't come. Instead, memories replayed endlessly in my mind. The look in his eyes when I confronted him. The way his voice cracked when he said he wasn't good enough for me. It should have brought clarity, closure, but instead it left me feeling emptier than ever. That's when the darkness closed in. The weight of betrayal, confusion, and despair pressed down on my chest until breathing felt impossible. I stared at the bottle of pills on my nightstand, trembling fingers reaching toward it. Would ending it all be easier than facing whatever truths still lay ahead? Tears streamed down my face as I held the bottle, its contents rattling softly, a grim reminder of how fragile life truly was. But just as I unscrewed the cap, a knock startled me. Standing at the door was Sarah, my best friend, her face pale with worry. She must have heard about the scene earlier. "Nancy," she whispered, stepping inside, "you're not alone in this." Her words were simple, but they shattered the suffocating silence. Still, even as she hugged me tightly, countless questions lingered unanswered. Who was Evelyn? What role did the intruder play? And most hauntingly, who exactly was the man I'd loved, or thought I'd loved, all along? The ring lay on the table between us, its diamond catching the light in a way that mocked my pain. It wasn't just any ring. It was exquisite, worth more than I could have imagined. But what made my stomach churn wasn't its value. It was the tiny engraving inside the band. "To Evelyn, my forever." My hands trembled as I traced the letters with my fingertips, each stroke feeling like a knife twisting deeper into my chest. "Who is Evelyn?" I whispered, my voice barely audible over the pounding of my heart. He didn't answer immediately, his eyes darting around the room as if searching for an escape route. "This doesn't mean anything," he finally said, though his tone lacked conviction. "It's complicated." Complicated? The word felt like a slap across the face. How could something so personal, so intimate, be dismissed as mere complexity? My mind raced back to the photos, the messages, and now this. Another woman's name etched into what was supposed to symbolize our future together. Was she the reason he'd been distant? The reason he flinched when I touched him? Or worse, had he already moved on while I was still clinging to fragments of our past? But the revelations didn't stop there. As Detective Harris dug deeper, they uncovered a secret bank account under his name. Or at least a variation of it. Thousands of dollars had been transferred in and out, transactions spanning months, even years. When confronted, he stammered, claiming it was for emergencies, but the explanation sounded hollow, rehearsed. And then there were the missed calls, dozens of them from a number I didn't recognize. Each one added another layer of suspicion, another crack in the foundation of trust I desperately tried to rebuild. Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, his phone buzzed on the counter, breaking the tense silence. His expression shifted instantly, from guilt to panic, as he stared at the screen. Against every instinct screaming at me not to look, I grabbed the phone before he could react. The message was brief, but its impact was devastating. "I'm waiting for you. Don't keep me waiting too long. You know I deserve better." "What is this?" I demanded, my voice rising to a shriek. "Who is this? Who deserves better?" He lunged for the phone, but I stepped back, clutching it tightly. For the first time since everything unraveled, he looked genuinely afraid. Not of me, but of being exposed. "It's nothing," he insisted, though sweat beaded on his forehead. "Just someone messing with me." "Messing with you?" I laughed bitterly, the sound sharp and broken. "This isn't some prank, and you know it. Who is she? Is it Evelyn? Are you planning to leave me for her?" Every accusation felt like a punch to his gut, forcing him to retreat further into himself. Finally, he sank into a chair, burying his face in his hands. "I don't know what I'm doing anymore," he admitted, his voice muffled. "I never wanted to hurt you, Nancy. But maybe you're right. Maybe I'm not the man you think I am." His words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. I wanted to scream, to throw something, to make him feel even a fraction of the pain I was drowning in. But instead, I stood frozen, staring at the ring that no longer represented love but betrayal. Who was Evelyn? What role did she play in his life? Or mine? And most hauntingly, who exactly was the man sitting across from me? Broken and unrecognizable. Some people leave scars, others leave lessons. Burn and reborn stories that break you, then rebuild you.